just a few weeks, if you follow this plan as I outline it in the My Golf DNA Impact Series, you're going to start the journey to changing your golf swing forever. Because once you learn how to do the stuff that I'm going to teach you, you're not going to unlearn it. Because the only thing that matters in the golf swing is impact, the point of contact. So I hope you're excited to go on this journey. We've got a lot of hard work to do. I'm going to give you very, very explicit steps on how I want you to handle business in the first week. And I hope you're ready to work, because if you follow these steps, I guarantee you that you start seeing a forward path to progression in your ball striking once and for all, and none of you are going to have to get on eBay and sell your clubs and advertise them as brand new because you've never hit the center of the club face before. You get it? Now, are you ready? Because I'm ready. Let's go. Okay, so I'm about to burst everybody's bubble right out of the gate here, because I know a lot of you are stepping into a ball striking series expecting to hit a lot of golf balls. In fact, over the next 7 days, I'm not gonna let you hit any golf balls. You're not gonna hit any golf balls at all. So get that into your brains. What you are going to be doing though is training your lead arm and your lead wrist how to function properly from one side of the body to the other. The lead wrist in the golf swing is controlling the pitch of the shaft, and it's controlling the rate of rotation. Capiche? Okay. So first order of business is I want you to put yourself into what I call a light impact position. Why I call it a light impact position is because it's not the full kit and caboodle. It's not the whole enchilada, okay? I'm gonna put you into a position where a bulk of your weight is underneath your lead ankle and you've got your hips open 10 to 15 degrees. Your spine is going to be very upright and your lead arm is going to be hanging directly underneath your shoulder. This is a position that you're not going to be able to stay in and do 100 reps. Okay, you're going to start feeling some fatigue in your glutes. You'll feel some fatigue in your quads and your hamstrings. Okay, you want to do these in sets of 10, 15, or 20, whatever you feel comfortable with. So what you're going to do from this position is you're going to allow your arm to swing back to where your hand is just outside your trail thigh. Your wrist is going to be anatomically flat and it's going to be pointed directly out in front of you. And all you're going to do from this spot is you're going to turn the muscles off in your shoulder and you're going to let your lead arm swing down and you're going to let your hand go all the way to the end of your lead thigh. Now when you do this, you want to rotate the wrist and get it pointed to where your glove logo or your watch is pointed down the target line. Now, I also want you to try to bow your wrist substantially. So when you come down, you can look through your palm and see a hole in the ground, okay? That's how much I want you to really try to over-exaggerate this movement, because you're gonna find that when we bring the trail arm and the club back to the mix, that this gets toned back very, very quickly. So for the first 300 reps, you're gonna be doing movement that looks just like this. That's it. And it's gonna feel every bit as boring as you want it to feel, but you're gonna check to make sure that your arm feels tension-free. You're gonna check to make sure that your wrist and your forearm are pointed down the target line, and you're gonna check to make sure that your wrist and forearm is bowed, just like I asked you to. I don't want it pointed out here, and I don't want it pointed back here. If you notice that it's not getting into the correct spot, then take your time, let your arms start to swing down, rotate the wrist, and bow it. Okay, you're gonna get to a point by the end of these 300 reps where you can do it kind of at the speed that I'm doing. Now you notice that I can do it fairly quickly here and get it into the right spot every time at the right time. Why? Because I've done it a long freaking time. You got it? And you will too. So that is step number one, 300 reps from here to here. Now let's look at step number two. Okay, so now step number two is where we're gonna not let the lead arm and lead wrist stop at the point of contact. We're gonna let it move through the point of contact. But we're gonna continue to work on trying to keep things de-lofted and keep the club face rotating, just without the golf club. Now I have introduced a focus point back to the mix here at step number two. You can have this in there at step number one if you'd like. In fact, I would advocate that because it's getting your eyes to focus where I want them to focus for the time being. And that's gonna be on the low point in the swing. Now, I've set up 2 tees on the front quarter of the golf ball here. That's gonna be an indicator where my low point in the swing is going to be. And I'm gonna set my ball position up off of the logo on my chest. Now, when you take your setup, what I want you to do is I want you to get the ball position off the logo on your chest. You're gonna shift your hips into that light sort of impact position. Your lead arm is gonna hang there freely. Your eyes are gonna be focusing on those 2 tees that you have in the ground or the reference point that you have there. And now you're gonna let your lead arm just swing back in that same position that you did on number 1. From here, what you're going to do is you're going to focus on getting your watch or your glove logo pointed directly behind you over here. So as your arm starts to swing down and freely and continue to move through impact, where it's bowed and facing down the target line, it's now going to continue to swing through to where it is bowed and pointed directly behind me. That's right, I'm going to try to get you to keep it bowed at this point because the golf club is going to have a lot of momentum and inertia that's going to try to pull it into a cup position here in just a little bit. Okay, now if you notice, where did my arm just stop? Well, it didn't stop at chest height and it didn't stop up here at shoulder height. You can see that the release and the hitting area is being covered in this very short space. Generally speaking, right around pocket height to pocket height. Nothing higher than that. You got it? You need to be able to get it done down here where it matters the most. The golf ball is long gone by the time your hand reaches this position. But once you get your hand to move through this position properly, you're gonna see little scud missiles coming off the club face with a whole lot of compression. Okay? Now, I want you to do 300 reps just like this. So from a light impact position with a ball position, off of your logo on your chest and your eyes focused on the low point, I want you to keep your arm moving. Remember, keep your arm moving underneath the pivot point all the way to the finish point. So you're gonna think about your watch being facing out in front of you, watch facing down the target line, wrist is bowed, watch facing directly behind you, wrist is still bowed. What that will look like from up the line is watch is out in front of me, watch is down the target line and bowed, watch is pointed directly behind me. Now, when you do this step and you start getting some fluidity to it, okay, and you start moving a little bit quicker, what I want you to be able to do is I want you to focus your eyes on the low point as your arm is swinging past your body. I don't want you to stop the arm to make time for your wrist to do this stuff, okay? So many people in the world of golf instruction teach the arms stopping and letting the club release. The arms never stop, okay? The arms continue to move, okay? Every single person on the planet has their arms working independently from the body. Yes, the wrists are doing a lot inside of that, but if the arms stop moving, then the only thing you really can do is kind of swat at it with your wrists and you're doomed at that point, okay? So your arms are gonna continue to move. Remember, these are low and slow, okay? Just like if you were cooking a hog on your smoker, it's low and slow, okay? So from here, out in front of you, down the target line, pointed behind me. Flatten out in front of me, bowed and pointed down the target line, bowed and behind me. Now watch as I start getting a little bit more proficient with it. Okay, again, I've done this a lot of times and I can get it in the same position every single time because I've trained it to do so. You're not going to be as lucky because you haven't taken the time to do this stuff yet. That's okay, you're going to get it. So you're gonna do 300 reps stopping, 300 reps releasing. One of the final key points here in step number 2 is, and I'm gonna say this incessantly through the series, is that when your arm is moving from here over to here, keep the muscles in your shoulder relaxed, keep the muscles in your tricep and your bicep relaxed, keep the muscles in your wrists and your forearm relaxed. The only place that you're gonna feel a little bit of tension is down in the hands, and you might feel a little bit in the wrists as well. Keep your tension levels down. Let the club do what it's wanting to do based off of your movements. It's going to pull itself down to the low point. And if you rotate your wrist and you continue to try to keep it bowed off, you're gonna have it de-lofted and you're gonna have it rotating at the perfect rate. Now let's graduate and let's start working on the movement with the golf club in our hands. These are what I call your working reps, okay? All of those reps that you just did, those 600 reps without the club, they're important, but they're not what I call your working reps because they're not done with the golf club in your hands, and we need to do things that are very relatable or comparable to what we're gonna be doing on the golf course. You got it? Okay, now, with your working reps, we are gonna add some movement. I don't want you to panic. I want you to keep this movement simplified, okay? So as a right-handed golfer, I'm gonna say right heel, left heel, release. Now, what I'm saying there, when I'm giving you those sort of cue words, is I'm pressuring onto my right heel, I'm letting my hands and arms swing back, and then I'm pressuring onto my left heel, and then I'm letting my arms release through to position. So you're gonna say to yourself over and over and over again, right heel, left heel, release. If you're left-handed, you're gonna say it the exact opposite way. Left heel, right heel, release. Got it? Okay, good. Now, how I want you to do this is, I would probably, if you're ready to pick up the golf club and start getting to work here on your working reps, we still wanna use the reference point. We're still gonna have our eyes focused on the low point. What I would do is just hold the club in your trail hand like I am and just kind of rehearse. Okay, maybe close your eyes. Just try to feel the positions. Okay, make sure your arm is relaxed. Okay, then start letting it swing through. Get it? because the reason why I'm having you do this is because things are gonna change very quickly when this thing gets in your hand and the co-pilot comes back into the mix. Things are gonna feel very different, but you're still gonna keep your brain focused on what you're feeling and the checkpoints from your lead wrist, regardless of what the co-pilot tries to do in this equation, okay? So once you've got it in your brain, now what you're gonna do is I've got the ball position off of my logo on my chest. I'm looking, my eyes are focused here on where the low point is. I'm gonna try to get the club to hit the low point in the swing in the same spot every single time. If you can brush the carpet, you can brush your wood floors, you can brush the linoleum, you can brush the tile, whatever it is in that same spot, then yes, your loved ones are gonna be really pissed off at me that I trained you to make a hole in their floors, but you're gonna have very, very good control of the low point in the swing, which is critical for good ball striking. Okay, so we're gonna be focusing on getting the club to bottom out in the same spot every single time, and I'll give you a couple focus points that'll make that easier. But for the process of starting this, we're gonna take pressure into our right heel, pressure left, and as my arms start down, I'm gonna make sure that my wrist rotates and tries to bow and then moves to the other side. Now, my eyes are focused right here, not over here. I don't want you looking out there. It's not that pretty. Keep your eyes still, okay? Because where your eyes go, your chest and your shoulders are gonna wanna go. I don't want you to turn your body, I want your arms to act independently. So as you can see here, is I'm actually creating extension and I'm creating lateral side bend in your swing by just getting your eyes to focus down here and keep your arms moving through to the position that I just trained you in. So this is how the kind of the method to the madness starts to work, okay? Rather than teaching you all of this crazy movement, this is all just going to happen as a byproduct of moving the correct way, okay? So we're gonna go right heel, left heel, release. Now, as you can see that I'm going very slow, and I'm gonna look over and I'm gonna check this position to make sure it's 100% right. If it's not, let's just say it's cupped, then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull it back into that position where it's slightly bowed, and I'm gonna hold it static, and then I'm gonna repeat again. Right heel, left heel, release, okay? Now, once you can start doing this with some fluidity where you're not having to kind of slow things down and check your positions, that's when the low point becomes important. So as I'm gonna demonstrate these next 2 or 3 reps, I want you to see if the club can bottom out near the same spot every single time. So right heel, left heel, release. Okay, so there's the low point in a good spot. Right heel, left heel, release. Okay, I'm checking to make sure I hit the low point. Then I'm gonna check the club afterwards. Right heel, left heel, release. Okay, that was a good rep. I'm looking over, I'm checking the position, making sure that it's done correct. That right there, my friends, is your homework for the next 7 days. Being able to do that simple little small movement, just as perfect as I did, starts you on the pathway for success. You've got to go through this process. I promise you, do not cut corners. But remember, these drills are designed to be like ladders. You wanna start out on the bottom shelf here. You wanna start on the bottom step and you wanna just do these little small reps. No movement, just get it into the right spot, check it. Be aware of your body, be aware of your lead arm, your lead shoulder, make sure they feel relaxed. Then start letting it move through. Once you've done a ton of reps, bring the golf club back in. Start doing a whole bunch of reps with both hands on the club and letting the club move itself down to the bottom of the arc and let it move through the position of the finished part of your release. Back check those positions, back check the club is bottoming out. If it's not bottoming out in the right spot, you find that it's bottoming out further back, then there's a good chance that your weight's not fully shifted and you're throwing the club a little bit too soon. Or your hands and your arms just aren't tension free enough. So you wanna make sure that your arms are tension free from your shoulders down. Go back up and down the ladder, okay? Most of the reps that I want you to get as you get past those section 1 and section 2 should be your working reps. I want you to try your best to get somewhere between 1,500 reps all the way up to 2,000 reps of the working reps when it's all said and done. I know that's a daunting number. I know that feels like a lot of work, but the more you get done, the better off you're gonna be when we get to step number 2, when we start introducing the golf ball back in the mix and we start really working on controlling the starting line and the trajectory, which is where it's all at, right? Okay, so let's get out there, let's get to work. Remember, take your time. If you have questions, post it up below. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do so. You'll get notifications every time we put out new videos. And do me a favor, if you like today's video, click the like button. It's good for me, it's good for my psyche, makes me feel really good. I love helping you guys out. I love the passion that I see and hear from a lot of you that are posting up in the comments. This is what it's all about, is helping you guys get better at the game of golf. And you will get better at the game of golf if you follow this plan to a T. Let's go.